I moved! And yes, even as a full-time realtor, it was still a lot. From showings with toddlers to packing chaos, pricing my own home, and bridging mortgages, I'm gonna walk you through exactly what it was like buying and selling my own place and what I learned during the process. On my channel, I have videos specifically about buying your home and specifically about selling your home, but I don't have one video about buying and selling at the same time, and there are some things that make this a very different process. So without further ado, let's jump right in. We actually bought our house just 3 years ago, but since then we've had 2 kids. And as you can imagine, 2 kids changes everything. The home that we bought 3 years ago was a bi-level house with 2 beds up and 2 beds down. And after having kids, the layout just wasn't ideal for us anymore. So we wanted a little bit more space and, most importantly, for all the bedrooms to be on the same floor. So for us, a 2-story house was the perfect option. It is more stairs than what we had in our last home, but that also means a lot more space for the family. Funny enough, even though I look at houses every day, it was actually my wife who found the home that we ended up buying. Our must-haves were pretty simple. 3 bedrooms upstairs, a more modern feel. At this point in our lives with 2 little ones, we're not looking to do any major renovations, and location. We had a couple of neighborhoods in mind, and we found a house in one of them. Believe it or not, after getting pre-approved for our mortgage, we looked at just one home. Only one, but it checked all our boxes. Location, layout, age, style, and price, so we jumped on it. I've had clients in the past who've bought the first home that they viewed, and some clients who view 10 plus homes, but when you find the one, sometimes you just know. It definitely helped being a realtor because I've been in and out of thousands of homes at this point. The current market is intense. It's very much a seller's market out there. So before we looked at houses, we spoke with our mortgage broker to make sure that we had our pre-approval ready and we knew exactly where our budget was. Thankfully, we were the only offer on the home that we bought. There were offers previously, but they were not accepted because the seller of our new home also had to find a home for themselves. So we had to include a condition in our offer that allowed them to be more flexible. We were not in a super rush to move, and we were able to accommodate that, which is one of the reasons why our offer got accepted. So it goes to show that sometimes the offer doesn't come down just to price. There are some other things that you can be flexible on that could work in your favor to help close the deal. In our offer, we also had a property inspection as one of our conditions. During the property inspection, a couple things came up, like they always do, and one of them was a faulty electrical outlet in the kitchen, and we asked the seller to get that fixed before possession, and the seller agreed. The other big thing is that there was some insulation missing in the ceiling on the top level. Either it was from an improper install or the wind getting up under there and blowing it all around, but we did end up paying for that ourselves when we moved in because we wanted it done right. And it wasn't a huge expense, all things considered, and the update in theory will save us more money over time anyways. And I always recommend my clients get a property inspection, even on new built homes, and you can clearly see that I practice what I preach. So buying a home can be tough with few homes to choose from and the high possibility of running into multiple offers, but selling, that part was smooth for us, mostly because I had an all-star realtor.
Oh, brother, this guy stinks!
Pricing a home is one of the most important things when it comes to selling. When I ran the comparables on our old home, even I was shocked at how much value it had gained in just 3 years. I mean, I live and breathe real estate, do market updates every month, but even I had to take a moment because in just 3 years, the value of our home grew more than the total of what we paid into our mortgage, which is wild when you think about it. People always ask me, when's the best time to buy? And my answer is always the same. Time in the market beats timing the market. As for actually selling our home, we didn't stage it. I usually only recommend staging a home if it's vacant, and these days you can even use AI to virtually stage it. But we had updated the home gradually while we were living there. We repainted pretty much every wall, installed solar panels, replaced the countertops, and we removed the old carpet and replaced it with luxury vinyl plank. These are all relatively cheap things that can make a huge difference. Except for maybe the solar. That's a pretty big expense. As for the solar, I've talked about that in other videos, but it was a huge win. No one pushed back on it. In fact, most people seemed excited about having zero electricity bills, just like we did when we were living there. I actually created a cheat sheet for my buyers, printed it out so they could see it during the showings. If you're like me and have a home with solar, I would make sure that you have a realtor that fully understands it, because some people see it as a liability, but if explained properly, it can be a huge selling point. Before we got our home ready to list, we moved a lot of things into storage to ensure that the house feels more spacious for potential buyers, and so they could envision themselves living there. After the first 24 hours on the market, we had about 10 showings and 2 offers come in. Our house was in the $400,000 to $500,000 range, and that range is currently incredibly sought after in Lethbridge. Of course, it's not always like that, but if you're looking to buy, make sure that you're in there day one, or possibly you could miss out. Waiting for feedback after each showing and waiting for offers to come in was a bit nerve-wracking. Even though I do this every day for my clients, it definitely hits a bit different when it's your own house on the line. We ended up accepting one of the 2 offers, and the buyers had a property inspection and a financing condition. There were some things that came up on the property inspection that we didn't even know about, even though we were living there for the last 3 years, and we had a property inspection when we moved in the first time. They were relatively minor though, and we addressed the concerns, and both of the conditions were waived without a hitch. I did represent myself because I trust myself. I know the ins and outs of the house and the entire process. Plus the solar setup was a bit unique, and it helped that I could directly explain that. That said, wearing both hats, seller and realtor, was a lot. On top of that, I was still helping my other clients sell and buy their homes, and I even had a client move in on the same day that we did. Not only did I have to be there for my current buyers and sellers, but when I came home, I still had 2 toddlers running around causing havoc. Trying to keep the house clean and tidy and showing ready while managing small kids? Yeah, that's a thing. And having someone else handle the logistics, showings, the paperwork, probably would have saved me a few gray hairs, but hey, I survived and so did my wife. We used movers, and if you have kids or just a lot of stuff, I highly recommend it. You never realize just how much stuff you have until you start putting it all into boxes. We bought our new place on July 3rd and sold the old place on July 4th, so we only had 24 hours to move everything and clean up the old place so it was ready for the new owners. We bridged our mortgage for just 1 day. Thankfully, our lender, Scotiabank, made it pretty affordable, only about $300. It worked, but man, it was a tight turnaround. If I could go back, I'd probably give myself a whole weekend to move. Maybe move in on the Friday and hand the keys off on Monday, just to give us a bit more breathing room. But that depends on aligning the timelines, not just your schedule, but also the seller and your buyers. So it's not always possible. But bridging, even for a day or 2, is totally worth it. In our situation, it was about the same price as booking a hotel, except we got to sleep in our own beds. A couple of final tips. Pack early. You might have way more stuff than you think. Use movers. Seriously, these guys are professionals and your back will thank you. And then make sure to budget for some downtime after the move. Unpacking takes just about as much time as it does packing it up. The move was a lot, and it also gave us the perfect excuse to purge some of our items. We found things that we hadn't touched in possibly 3 years, maybe longer. All in all, it's an amazing time to move up here in Lethbridge because homes in the $300,000 to $500,000 range are flying off the shelves, while homes in the $500,000+ range tend to stay on the market a little bit longer, allowing you to get a quick sale on your current home while possibly getting a deal on your new home. And if you have a growing family like myself, and want someone who's been through it and knows all the little details that you might not think of, reach out to me. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.